Former Representative Ted Deutch of Florida joins me. He is now the CEO of the American Jewish Committee. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
Thanks for having me.
I am sad that I'm seeing you again under these circumstances. No. Can you just put this into some context for us? You know, Kanye West has 18 million followers. This is not just about Kanye West, but talk about how a person with that kind of platform spewing that kind of hate can be so damaging.
Well, I appreciate it very much, Simone. Here's the problem. You had a statistic up earlier. I'm going to give you another one. 1 in 4 American Jews has faced anti-Semitism personally, and 1 in 3 Americans doesn't know what anti-Semitism is. So this hatred from Kanye gives us the opportunity to recognize a couple things, that in America, you cannot attack someone for who they are. It's true for the black community, the AAPI community, the LGBT community, and you can't attack Jews for being Jews. That's what Kanye has done, and he did it on social media with his millions of followers. It puts Jews at risk, but more than that, it actually is a threat undermining our whole democracy. It puts Americans at risk when this kind of hatred is allowed to stand. So fortunately, companies have now taken the right step.
Some of them took a little too long. Adidas, I would say, took a minute.
I don't understand why it took too long. But here's the thing. Companies have a decision to make right now. It's not just severing relationships. Companies should be making clear that they want to be there on the right side of history, that they want to understand, that they do understand that fighting anti-Semitism, that fighting Jew hatred is not just waiting until someone else comes forward and spews crazy, dangerous conspiracy theories, but that they're taking action right now to show that they understand the threat, they will not stand for it. The President Biden has been clear. He called it out.
The second gentleman called it out, who is Jewish, by the way, but it's not just on Jewish people to stand up and call this out. I had a question, because it feels like not necessarily all of a sudden, but now there's just been an onslaught of anti-Semitic dribble and hatred, and anti-Semitism isn't new. This country has been dealing with this for a long time. Am I wrong? Like, is it feeling like there's more right now?
Sure, and that's what I keep hearing. That's what I keep hearing from the community. It's what I hear. It's what I hear from my kids. Frankly, it does feel that way, and it feels that way because there is this increase in acts of anti-Jewish hatred. We've seen it. We've seen it on social media. We've seen it all across social media. Just this morning in Brentwood and in Los Angeles, people were greeted to anti-Semitic flyers, which we've seen all around the country. We've seen violence against the Jewish community that's happened from coast to coast. And we're just a few days away from marking the shooting at Tree of Life, which is the deadliest attack on the Jewish community in our nation's history. It's not just something that weighs heavy upon us. It's something that makes the Jewish community nervous and scared. And we need to come together. You're right. Everybody needs to come together and call it out and not allow it to stand.
You know, it strikes me that there's a large role that elected officials have to play in this. Let's not even mention the fact that the former president is one of the ones out here stoking the flames of hate across the country. But you have sitting members of Congress, Republicans, sitting members of Congress who are not calling out the anti-Semitism, who in fact are trafficking in it, and other hates, white supremacy. Like, we can go down the line. What should elected officials' response be in this moment?
Well, I think we all have to acknowledge, Simone, that there's just no acceptance for the kind of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories that we've seen. We've seen Kanye doing this, and we saw people call him out. We need to call out celebrities who do it, but we need to take that spotlight that's now shining because of Kanye and focus it wherever there's anti-Semitism. And by the way, that means not just calling out the people that we're comfortable calling out. It means calling out whether it's Republicans or Democrats.
I like to say taking on your adversaries as well as your allies.
That is 100% correct, and it's so important. That's how we can be consistent. That's how we can act to protect one another, because ultimately that's what we're doing here, is when we're protecting the Jewish community, when when we're helping companies understand why it's so important for them to really understand the lived experiences of their employees, why government officials need to understand what it means to be a Jew in America today, the way that people are feeling. When they understand that, they're actually benefiting the country as a whole. So we need to call out anti-Semitism wherever it comes from. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, but there's just no accepting. We cannot accept this as normal.
Before I let you go, I want to get your take on, I've seen across social media where people and individuals who have spoken up and standing with the Jewish community, sometimes I see in those comments there are folks that are like, oh, well, what did you say about Black Lives Matter? Or you didn't have anything to say about Kanye's White Lives t-shirt. And I do think that I looked through the American Jewish Committee's news site the other day on the press releases, and there were so many press releases where you talked about George Floyd, where you talked about standing together, where you called out what was happening to the AAPI community. And if you could just leave us with a message about why we all have to stand together in this moment.
I appreciate that. The reason that American Jewish Committee has worked so hard on building strong intergroup and interreligious understanding is to be there for one another as allies, so that when a group is attacked because of who they are, we understand that everyone needs to speak out against it. Well, this is a moment when the attention is on the attacks coming on a regular basis against the Jewish community in America, and we need everyone to stand with us.
Ted Deutch, Congress misses you, but I know the AJC is so happy to have you. Thank you for being here
Thanks,
today.
Simone. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.